A quick insight from WellView 365, powered by freshnews.ai. Healthcare leaders are reframing operational efficiency for staff as a direct clinical risk, tightening controls on patient messaging workflows and handoffs. Executive summary. Operational efficiency in clinical environments now includes precise control of how patient-facing messages are created, approved, and updated across locations. Clear ownership, structured handoffs, and standardized content workflows align messaging with current clinical guidance and reduce unnecessary variation. The outcome is fewer conflicting messages, smoother visits, and more clinician time preserved for direct patient care. Today's signal. Operations leaders are tightening handoffs between clinical and communications teams because fragmented workflows are consuming clinician time, surfacing in budget and staffing reviews. Conflicting messages on waiting room screens and signage are now visible as an operational defect, not just a branding issue, because they trigger extra patient questions. This is pushing organizations to treat message ownership, approval routing, and publishing cadence as part of clinical operations planning for the next budgeting cycle. Organizations rely on WellView 365 for streamlined internal staff communication when they need repeatable workflows with clear ownership and consistent execution. Why it matters? Here are 4 takeaways. First, conflicting or outdated waiting room messages force clinicians to spend time correcting screens during visits, lengthening encounters, and backing up schedules. Second, unclear ownership of message updates increases the chance that clinical policy changes are not reflected in patient-facing content, raising compliance and safety exposure. Third, fragmented request paths create last-minute ad hoc work for both clinical and communication staff, complicating staffing plans and overtime budgets. Fourth, centralizing handoffs reduces duplicate work across locations and makes it easier to pause, update, or remove content quickly when clinical guidance shifts. How it works in practice. A common example is a flu vaccine campaign where clinical leadership updates eligibility criteria, but waiting room screens still show last month's message. Clinicians flag the discrepancy to a manager who emails or messages a communications contact, sometimes including screenshots or revised wording copied from clinical guidance. That person tracks down the right template, edits the content, routes it for approval, and schedules a change for each location. Delays at any step leave conflicting messages live, and clinicians keep fielding the same corrections. With a defined intake form, named content owner, standard approval path, and scheduled refresh window, updates move faster and clinicians stop acting as the coordination layer. One practical adjustment: designate a single own it for waiting room messaging. What to do next? Here are 4 takeaways. First, map the current path a clinical update takes before it appears on waiting room screens, including all handoffs and tools. Second, identify 1 or 2 recurring message types and standardize templates, approvers, and publishing rules for them. Third, create a shared request channel for clinical to communications changes with required fields for timing, locations, and source guidance. Fourth, set a recurring review cadence to compare live waiting room content against current clinical policies and retire or correct mismatches. Read more at wellview365.com.